It's almost Thanksgiving time, right? I have so many great recipes that will be fantastic in your Thanksgiving menu. However, they're kind of spread all over the place. I made it here, made it there. So I said, I'm going to make it simple for the people that I care about. I'm going to put it all together. The things that I am going to be doing for Thanksgiving. I'm going to be cooking all this stuff because the people in my house, Lord child. Anyway, so I have several recipes that are going to be all put together so they can be in one place for you, and you can pick and choose or do them all. I'm telling you, they're all good. You're gonna love, love, love it. If you want to know how I do it, you're just gonna have to stay tuned. Okay, we have our turkey giblets in a bowl off to the side, and I'm going to talk about the giblets and their place in the grand scheme of things in a minute. We got butter, salt, Lowry seasoned salt, pepper, garlic powder, Cajun seasoning, paprika. Oh, and don't forget your Adolph's meat tenderizer for a little bit of a brine. I didn't show it here, but you know that's always a mainstay. Our veggie trinity of onion, bell pepper, celery, and a fresh sprig of rosemary. Some flour, bacon fat, and the star of the show, a beautiful 14-pound clean, dried turkey. I want to point out a few things about the cleaning and prep of the turkey prior to the seasoning and the giblets we saw earlier. If you did not know what giblets are and where to find them, here's the 411. Giblets are the bird's internal organs, like the liver, the heart, the gizzard. The neck of the bird is also part of this package. When you take your turkey out of its wrapping, check the cavity of the bird, and that is where these things are housed. You got to remember that this bird has two ends, the inner cavity and then the neck portion, which is the second floor of this birdhouse. You want to check that because sometimes they will have giblets in the neck area in a bag, and if you don't get those out and you get to cooking that bird, that's not going to be pretty. Once these areas are vacated, I clean off my giblets, put them in a pot with my trinity, some rosemary, a little bit of seasonings, butter, and I cook them down until a stock emits from the meat, and I use that stock to flavor my gravy. And that's another video. Okay, back to the turkey. Turkeys have feathers. Feathers have quills. So you want to feel all over the skin of your turkey to ensure all the quills are removed, because nobody want to eat that. Also, check your wings for hairs and burn them off. There may also be a little yellow piece of skin on the bottom of the leg bone that needs scraping off. And I always purchase turkeys with pop-up timers because it makes life easier for me, and I'm all about the easier life. Now the bird is clean, let's get to the seasoning part. Let your butter soften to room temperature. I've taken the seasonings you saw earlier and combined them together in this little shaker that I keep. Take half of the seasoning and mix it into your softened butter. And that's going to look like this. Once it looks like it's all combined, take some of that seasoned butter, and what I usually do is cover my hand with a glove because I don't want that butter getting underneath my nails, and slather it on the inside all around the cavity of that bird, the top, the sides, the bottom. Then you're going to take a little bit more, and that skin that I loosened above the breast, you're going to go all in there. You're going to massage that breast all underneath that skin, get all that butter underneath there. That's going to make it perfect. You're going to use the remainder of the butter mixture along with a little dollop of the bacon fat in your hand or the oil of your choice, and then cover the outer skin of the turkey. And then you're going to grab that lovely veggie trinity and stuff it into the cavity of the bird. Then you're going to tie the legs up, fold back the wings, and the fun part is going to begin now. Take the other half of that seasoning and make it rain all over that turkey. You want to cover that turkey completely. Now, here comes a really, really intricate part of the moistness of this turkey. Reynolds oven bags. You want to get the bags according to the pounds of your turkey, and it's on the box. This is a game changer. I'm telling you, once you get this bag, it's going to ensure that your turkey is going to be moist and tender. So take the bag, take that tablespoonful of flour we saw earlier, and I put it in the bag and I shake it up. Now the directions tell you to do this, and the reason why you have to do it is that bag will burst in the oven if you don't. They say you can also spray it with some cooking spray. I've never had to do that because my bird never stuck. I'll take my bird, I lower it in, then you want to close your bird up, and they have a tie that you put on the end to close it up. And it's going to look like what you see here. Another important step is to poke 6 little slits near the tie area of this bag. Get the bird in the bag inside the pan, or in my case I have a foil roasting pan. It needs to be at least about 2 inches deep. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And that's it. The instructions that are in the box of the Reynolds bag have a chart that tells you, according to the weight of your bird, how long to cook it. Follow the instructions of the bag. Once you get all that done, your bird is ready. It's going to come out. It's going to look just like this. Now tell me that ain't cute. Now you know I already put the Adolph's meat tenderizer on this meat, sat it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes so it can marinate. I have the Lowry seasoned salt. I have white pepper, black pepper, paprika, olive oil, onion soup mix, butter that makes things all better, ranch seasoning, my trinity of celery, onion, bell pepper, and a fresh sprig of rosemary, and of course the 2 different roasts that I've cubed up. I'm going to heat up my skillet on high, and I'm going to put about 1.5 tablespoons of the olive oil in the skillet so I can begin to brown those cubes of meat lightly. I don't want to sear them too much. Let me check and see if this skillet is ready for this meat. Okay, I see a little smoke and the water's dancing, so it's ready to put that meat in and brown it. Okay, we're going to get this skillet full of this meat, and like I said, we're going to lightly brown it on both sides. Okay, it's in the skillet, starting to brown, not cooking too fast. It needs to look like this once it's brown, and like I said, lightly. I don't want any crisp on this. I am trying to avoid overcooking the pieces of meat that are not the chuck roast. I'm also going to season this meat in the skillet before I start the real long-term cooking. And I do it on both sides. So let me get this that I browned into the pot with the rest of it. And then I'm going to finish that seasoning up. I'm going to use all of that. I'm going to get it over every piece of the meat. It's all going to be kissed. You want to make sure that it's absorbed into the meat. You don't see any more white. And then I'm going to stir it through. Yeah, just like that. That's good. And then I want to get my Trinity girls and our sprig of rosemary. You thought I forgot. There you go, just like that. Now I'm going to take 32 ounces of beef broth. I don't want to submerge the beef. I want the stock just to come right up to the top of the beef. Now let's put in a whole packet of our onion soup mix. And I didn't forget the butter. I'm not showing that part, but I need to let you know. Once you stir this onion soup mix into that beef stock and with the rest of those seasonings, you want to get that piece of butter, that whole stick, and you stick it right on top. Cover it. Turn your heat up to a medium high. And then you want to cook this down for about an hour to an hour and a half. And it's going to come out looking like this. Every piece of that beef is tender. It's moist. It's savory. Look at that gravy. It's delicious. Okay, we got black pepper, Lowry seasoned salt, Splenda, KC's Blessings coming at you real soon, carnation milk, a stick of butter, Velveeta cheese sauce, some Colby Jack cheese, mild cheddar cheese, and Velveeta. We have a couple of eggs, we have a little cooking spray, and of course, macaroni noodles. I got a big pot over here that I'm filling up with water, and I'm going to spray a little of that cooking spray in the water. Why? Because I don't want my macaroni to stick. I'm going to go over here to my stovetop and put it on a high heat so I can bring that water to a rapid boil. Now, I'm going to dump that macaroni in here, cook it for about 10 to 12 minutes. I don't want it to be mushy. I want it to be kind of firm. And then I'm going to rinse it off once it's done with some cool water and sit it to the side. Now I'm going to get back to my stovetop, turn the heat down because it's time to melt this butter in this pot. We're starting the basis of this good macaroni and cheese sauce. Once that's all melted, I'm going to start putting my carnation milk in. I'm going to do 2 cans of that milk, and I'm going to continually stir because you don't want this milk to scorch. If it scorches, it's going to ruin everything. So let's get to stirring. And then I'm going to start putting in my cheese sauce. I do 2 packets of the cheese sauce, get that all mixed in there. And then I'm going to start putting in my cheeses. I do 2 cups of mild cheddar cheese, 2 cups of the Colby Jack, and of course, 2 cups of Velveeta. We get all of this stirred up. Now, a lot of people will use flour in their base of their mac and cheese to thicken it. I don't find that necessary if you use enough cheese. And you see I have. And you see what the results are. Look how creamy that is. That is going to be fantastic. Now, I'm going to hit it up with a little bit of the Casey's Blessing. Like I said, it's not ready for you guys yet, but when it is, I'm going to let you know. You can use some seasoning that you like. I put some black pepper in there, and I got a little bit of the low sodium Lowry seasoned salt. And you know I got to do a squirt of Splenda. It just brings up the flavor. It balances things off. Now let me get this all stirred up. Those 2 eggs that I beat, I gotta get them in there, but I took the pot off of the heat because I don't want scrambled eggs. So let's get it all incorporated and look at that sauce. This is what you want to see. This is going to be the beginnings of a beautiful relationship. Now let's get this macaroni all in there. We're going to get it into the sauce, and we're going to make sure that every single piece of that macaroni is kissed. It may start to stiffen up because you got a lot of macaroni, at least I do, because I'm making a lot of mac and cheese. But the key is to loosen it up with that 3rd can of carnation milk. You want to continue to pour it in because you want your macaroni and cheese mixture to be loose. You don't want it to be stiff. The stiffer it is, the drier it's going to be. And you want it to be moist and delicious. Even when you reheat it, you want it to look like that. Now, once you got it like that, you're going to do your layering method. You're going to put half of that mac and cheese mixture in your pan. Then you're going to take a cup of the mild cheddar cheese. You're going to take a cup of the Colby and a cup of the Velveeta. Put it on the bottom layer. Now take the rest of that mixture. We're going to put the other half on top, and we're going to put the other half of those cheeses, and we're going to top it off with some paprika for color and for flavor. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Lightly cover your mac and cheese, get it in the oven, and cook it for about 45 minutes. And I'm going to tell you, once that 45 minutes is up, you're going to have fantastic results. Look at that mac. Okay, we got our apple cider vinegar, Adolph's meat tenderizer, butter, white pepper, black pepper, Splenda, of course, or sweetener of your choice, garlic powder, Lowry seasoned salt. I've diced up some ham, about 2 cups full, and a little bit of bacon fat, And of course, the main ingredient, fresh, thoroughly cleaned, washed, and chopped collard greens. And I want you to check out this short tutorial on prepping your greens before cooking. Now let's get to them greens. So what I'm going to do now is take a tablespoonful of bacon fat and melt it in my cook pot on high heat. Once it melts, it looks like this. Let's check and see if the bacon fat is hot enough, because I want to grab the diced ham and I want to brown it. Okay, let's see if the water's dancing in that pot. Looks like it is. The bacon fat is ready for some company. So let's get this ham in. Now the ham is already cooked. This is some ham I had left over from the holidays. Had a yummy pineapple glaze. I got an episode coming on how to cook a ham. And the purpose of this exercise is to get the flavor of the ham and bacon fat combined. We're making a seasoned base to cook the collard greens in. Let me get a top on this so I can speed up the process. Now, you see what I'm saying? You see how the ham is caramelizing and the bacon fat is kind of turning a new color because the flavors are bonding together. This is what it should look like after you brown that ham. Now I'm going to take a tablespoonful of apple cider vinegar and add that to that seasoning base. This is important because the greens recipe is designed to combine the sweet and tanginess together. Now, we're going to start loading in the greens. Now, I only purchased 3 bunches of collards, and once cleaned and chopped, it's not a massive amount. So I don't have to worry about overflow. But sometimes you have so many greens that it looks like they're going to escape from the pot. Not to worry. They decrease in size as they cook down. So let's mix the seasoning base from the bottom of the pot through these greens. And you'll see the color of these greens right now are lighter. As they cook, they're going to darken up. Now it's time, before the greens cook all the way down, to sprinkle in a teaspoonful of Adolph's meat tenderizer. And I know you're saying, oh my goodness, she puts Adolph's in everything. But honey, let me tell you, Adolph's is going to make sure these collards are nice and tender. Let's get it all stirred up. Make sure every green is kissed with that Adolph's. Now we're going to continue the cooking process, and you see the pot liquor is forming. I'm going to take the rest of these seasonings and add them in and stir. Oh, stop the presses. I know you are not going to let me forget that the butter and the Splenda, or the sweetener of your choice, needs to go in them greens. Because if it doesn't, you're going to mess up the whole dynamic of the recipe. You're not going to get the sweet and tangy and that savory flavor we want. And they're not going to look like this. This is what greens look like once they're done. They're darker in an olive color. They're tender. They're bursting with flavor. That pot liquor is savory and creamy and delicious.
You're chilling in the rain. You're some kind of butterfly.
Okay, I got some all-purpose seasoning blend. I'm using Casey's Blessing, which ain't ready for you guys right now, but as soon as it is, run right over and get some. You don't want to miss out. I got some black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. I got a little bit of cayenne pepper so we can spice that puppy up. I got some smoky paprika that's going to give it a kick and some color. I have about a 1/4 pound of some applewood bacon. Yeah. And I got some portobello mushrooms and red onions all chopped up and ready to go. And of course, the featured attraction, some fresh from the garden yellow squash. But wait, I got some information for you guys. Speaking of yellow squash, do you want to know how to pick them? The way you know that yellow squash or any squash is good for eating and is fresh, it has to have some smooth skin, no blemishes, nothing that looks like it's out of the ordinary. When you pull on that stem, it should be firm, and so should your squash. I'll tell you another secret. If you have a whole bunch of seeds in your squash, that means that they waited way too long to pull it off the vine. Now you can still eat it. They call it seedy, mushy squash, but I'm going to tell you, the best kind
is the one that is popped right off that vine in time. Now, let's get to how we're going to make those beautiful medallions look the way they do. You want to cut them, I would say, about 1/4 inch thick. You want to try to get them cut uniform. Now, I like to use a knife. Hey, I'm old school. However you do it, you want to have uniform slices. So, let's get on over here and get this puppy started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that applewood bacon. I'm going to get it in a pan and I'm going to fry it up nice and crisp. Not burnt, crisp. And we're going to leave all those drippings in there, all that nice bacon fat, and we are going to move it all around. Now, you guys can use olive oil if you want, whatever you choose. Now, I'm going to lay my squash, and this is why I was telling you about the even cutting, because you want to lay it down and you're going to layer it. Now, I'm going to start with the Casey's blessing, and I'm going to make it rain. And the next thing I'm going to do is hit it up with that black pepper. Now, I'm going to follow that up with a little onion powder. And after the onion powder, then we got to have its cousin. So you know I'm going to hit it up with some garlic powder. And after that garlic powder, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to make it rain with that portobello mushroom and red onion. And we are going to take all those seasonings and we're going to add a little cayenne pepper to it. Not a whole lot, unless that's what you want. And then I'm going to round it off with that beautiful smoky paprika for color and just to lift that flavor. Now, we're going to toss all these wonderful seasonings and vegetables together in that pan. Oh, by the way, you want to put it on a medium heat while you're sauteing. And then, of course, we can't leave out the butter that makes things all better. Now, we're going to put a top on that, and we're going to let that kind of steam through for about 2 or 3 minutes on that medium heat. So we're going to take the top off, stir it. It should look just like that. Yes, it should. Okay, so there you have it. Didn't I tell you this stuff was fire? It sure is, and I don't mean 5-alarm fire. I mean fabulous for any Thanksgiving feast, any holiday feast, or heck, any day of the week as far as I'm concerned. And if you love that video, hey, I need you to hit that like button, quick, fast, in a hurry. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell so you'll always know when I'm coming at you with a new recipe or something like that. And it's going to be very often. Do it at least weekly. And hey, you know what else? I need everybody to subscribe. And until next time, you know what I wish you. A little love, peace, and a whole lot of joy. I'm going to see you on the flip side. Have a wonderful holiday. Bye-bye.
That's unforgettable.